Lord, thank you for this morning. Thank you that we get to come together as a team today, and that we get to do kids ministry and children's ministry every week. And we're thankful for the kids that come, the fact that we have to program because there's so many kids that do come, and there's so many faces that we get to interact with. And so we just ask you to give us a good time this morning, that our hearts and minds would be ready for what you want us to learn today, and that we would be ready each week that we come to serve. That our hearts and minds would be in it as well. We just ask that you be in everything that we do. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, so just a few things very briefly at the front while you're eating everything. First of all, want to say thank you for Saturday nights. That was something that we kicked off in October, and there's been times where we've been sparse, right? We need some more help, but at the same time, we've been able to do it. And we haven't had any problems, so that's always good, right? So thank you for jumping in, those of you who said yes to Saturday night and have been a big part of that. We're really thankful that you've been willing to do that here at the Parksburg campus. Second thing is, something that we have to keep saying to make sure is that your clearances are done. So here's the deal. I have a list back on that table of what clearances I have and who I have. So what I would like for you to do is, if you get a chance, take a look at that list. If there's any of your clearances missing, your child abuse clearance or your criminal background check, please know that this week you're going to get an email from me saying, hey, we don't have that, and I just wanted to warn you that was coming. Here's where if you don't have it, like if it's there and you're like, I did this 3 years ago, I don't have it, or I did it a year ago and it's not that. If we don't have it, we apologize somehow in the midst of things that got lost. However, they're free. So I would ask you to hopefully go back on, maybe still the login information and just print it out one more time for us, just so that we're sure that we have it. A second thing that I actually am going to need everyone to do, so I'll get papers out to you later. If you have not lived in Pennsylvania for the last 10 years, that means if you went to school in Florida, lucky you, right, or something like that, you moved out, or you went to another state or country for longer than just a vacation, we need you to have your fingerprinting done. Which is something we've said, but I just want to make sure no one fell through the cracks. Here's the other thing. If you have lived in Pennsylvania for the last 10 years, there's a form that I need you to fill out that just is you telling me I've lived in Pennsylvania the last 10 years, and I didn't know about this form until 3 weeks ago. So it showed up, we had a lawyer look at some stuff, and I was like, oh, there's this form. And Susan and I were like, we have never heard of this form. So I'll get that out to you later. So even if you have lived in Pennsylvania for the last 10 years, all you need to do, sign your name. Yes, I've lived here for 10 years. So that way, if we get in trouble, I have proof that you told me that you lived here, so just don't get me in trouble. So that's something that we'll go over. But just make sure you have your clearances, or know that I'm going to email you if you don't have them. Love to meet you. But also know I'm going to ask you to fill out that 10-year form a little later today. Here's a question that we need to answer. We've gone over a lot of this over the last couple of years, but if you're new in the last 6 months or so, you might say, what is this? I'm not 100% sure what this is. Basically, because you guys and I are in charge of children, because we live in the state of Pennsylvania, because of all the stuff that went down with Penn State 5-6 years ago, we then are considered those who need to report child abuse anytime we suspect it. So, what does that mean? That means if you have reason to believe that a child is being abused, whether that's bruises, or they're malnourished, or they clearly haven't been bathed in maybe weeks, whatever that might be, you have the right to call Childline, which is a phone number I can give you later if you don't have it, and say, I suspect something will happen. Now that's kind of scary, right? It's not a fun thing to do. We've never had to do it in children's ministry. I don't think I've had to do it in student ministry. Just so you know what that phone call is going to look like, they're going to ask you who the child is, what their birthday is. So you need to get some information from the child before you make the call to help them as much as possible. The other thing is, this cannot be held against you. If you are wrong, they cannot hold it against you. You are acting in good faith. They will not come back at you and say, well, you were wrong about this, they can't sue you for that. That's a Pennsylvania thing. So, what does that all have to say? There's a lot of different ways this can happen. There's a lot of weird situations where this phrase can pop into your head. If you ever have a feeling of, I don't know what to do in this situation, please just come talk to me. Come talk to Susan, come talk to Mandy, talk to Pastor Scott. We're not allowed to say to you, come talk to us before you make the call. If you feel like you need to make the call, make the call. However, if there there's an issue where you're like, I don't know what to do in this situation, feel free to come to us. We'll help you walk through it and make sure that the right thing is done. So just know, if you see child abuse, if you suspect child abuse, please act on it. Whether it's you're not sure, come talk to us. If you need to make the call, please make the call. Are there any questions about that? I know it was kind of a short amount of time, so good.
I know I unfortunately had to make a call for the child fund, and you are allowed to ask to remain anonymous. So you are allowed to say I don't know, so then they would have to know.
Sure. They don't have your name, they don't have your phone number, they don't have your... Yep.
But they won't keep it anonymous in the child.
Okay. Yeah.
You may have said this, I was daydreaming. I thought I heard you say suspect they might be. So is it suspect they might be, suspect they are, and expect they have been? Like what if in the midst of a conversation we feel like a kid was a year ago or a year and a half ago? Do we
Sure.
still have?
I think it's within the last 2 years that you're allowed to call and say, hey, we think this might be happening. What was the first thing you asked? I want to make sure I addressed it. Do you remember?
No, I just remember hearing you say that they might be. And
Yeah, it's suspected. It doesn't have to be, this kid told me their dad hit them, right? It can be, I suspect there's, if you see a kid, like I give this example, see a kid, they have a black eye. How'd you get a black eye? I got hit in the face with a baseball, playing baseball yesterday. Okay, fine. If they say, I don't remember, that's a bad sign, right? So if they know right away, and sometimes like the boys would probably be proud of it. Like, oh, I caught a baseball in my face. Go ahead, Hannah.
Does it just have to be like signs of physical abuse, or like if like a kid tells you that like emotional or like sexual abuse, do you still call them?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, any form of abuse you can call, and they will walk you through it. Like if you call a child like that, like you're freaked out, and you're like, this is what I know. They'll help you. They're not talking to a robot. It's not going to press 3 for this or press 4. It's a person, and you can walk through and say, this is what the child told me. And that's all. They'll help you walk through and give them as much information as you can. All right. Any other questions? All right. If you do, don't hesitate to ask. This is a big thing that we have to worry about. We haven't had to deal with much of it yet, so that's good. But it's just something to think about. All right, a little easier subject, right? Always check kids for their name tags. Here's something that we've had a little bit of an issue with, especially since we've moved to just doing kids ministry. Like we sing all together in the service, and then we bring the kids and kids ministry in here. Sometimes kids are sneaking in here without actually checking in. And so anytime you guys are serving, and no matter what capacity you're serving in, we would love for you just to make sure like the kid has their name tag. So sometimes in preschool, right, you have to like look on the back of them, because I put Owen's on his back so we can't rip it off, right? So just make sure that they have their name tag, make sure they checked in. If they didn't, do your best to catch mom and dad, especially if it's preschool. Like you should see mom and dad, so like as they're handing the kid to you or as they're walking in, like just like, okay, tags are here, good. Like if they're not, mom, dad, wait. If they're here and they're coming in, if you're the host, try and catch this. If you're the host and you see someone with that name tag, stop the child. They should be old enough to say, you can ask them, where are your parents? Are they sitting in church? Can you take me to them? Once you make sure everything's okay in here, go find mom and dad and have them come and register. That's just a safety feature. It's making sure that all the kids are checked in. We know who's who. In the event of emergency, we have their information. Any questions about that? Hooray! Everyone's still awake. I feel like everybody used to. Alright. It's gonna get better from there. That was like all the housekeeping stuff, okay? So what we're gonna do now, I just want to start to move us. Oh yeah, go ahead. Jeez, hurry. Just messing with Ken.
This happens to me every
Yeah.
single time I go to start dismissal, but one of the parents will come to get a order and will say, oh, my spouse has their,
Yep.
The kids are clearly, you tell her, related. Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Looks like a good match.
I would not. Yeah, if that happens, I would rather you say, no, can you please go get the tag? Yeah, and the parent's going to be frustrated at you because there's a big long line of parents out here. That's okay, just send them to me. Yep. Yeah. I don't mind, that's okay. That's fine. It is. Yes, Hannah.
What if the kids rip their name tag?
He piece it back together and put it on them. Yeah, that's a tough spot. If you see them rip it off, just make sure you know what. Like I would say, okay, what's your name? What grade are you in? And just make sure that you know who they are. Yes.
What if they send their child coming?
Don't. Here's the idea. If they don't have that sticker, that parent tag, don't give them the kid. I know it's hard in nursery because like Kelly Damon will come get Rowan without the sticker. I guess that's fine. But don't give them the sticker. Don't. If you don't have that parent tag, don't give it. Good. There's no question. Okay. If they have the tag and you feel comfortable letting them go, if they're old enough, I think it's fine. But if they do not have that tag, I wouldn't do it.
Is there a way when you print out tags to get 2 parent stickers? Because you get 1 parent sticker, so like, they take the sticker.
Yep.
So then you don't have a sticker to get your kids in a different class.
Okay, Renee's gonna check on that. Renee is in charge of our check-in stuff, and Karen too, she does a great job. She's gonna check on that and see if we can get a couple that print out. Yeah.
Corey, I was in Ohio over New Year's, and my cousin actually runs the children's ministry as well. She wanted to release the pastor's children without their tag. So is it still, I mean, why would it be different for us to give Rowan to Kelly if she doesn't have the tag? I mean,
Sure.
She said that the people who come that were new to the ministry, new to the church, had come in and said that they were very grateful that you actually had checks and balances.
Yeah.
So would it be better to just follow the rules for everybody?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll have to talk to Kelly. No, I hear you. I'll have Scott talk to Kelly. Yeah, no, I agree.
Very reassuring that even for the
I agree.
pastor, they may do that. It's much safer with their kids.
Yeah. Yeah, so as a blanket rule, let's just say anytime that you have somebody come, if they do not have that tag, don't give them their kid. Okay? Let's just make sure. Like, I gave birth to them, I don't care. You don't have the tag, I'm not giving you a kid.
We say they say, okay, I'll put them on next weekend.
Usually there's 3 left over for you, so yeah, I'm not doing that. Any other questions about that? Go ahead, Susan.
And just real quick, the whole point is we care for these kids, and we don't know what the inner, like the relationships are between the parents. They could say that, oh, I'm the dad. There could be an ongoing situation that we don't know about. That's highly unlikely. But it's bottom line safety to make sure that we're releasing it to the person that we should. And as we grow, you won't know that this kid goes with this parent necessarily, as much as we try. So as we're poised for growth, we need to be consistent with these for everybody for those reasons.
Yeah, and along that, and I'll come back to it. We are working to even have more secure hallways and having even guys that are like gateway security so that they're back here. So that in situations like that, we know, hey, can you go find mom and dad, or like kid comes in without tag, can they go help find the kid? So that we're adding that extra line. So we see that we're growing and we're working to do that as well. Good.
Where is the recommendation they also tag?
So if they lose their tag, have them come back out to, well, what do we, yeah, we're gonna figure that out. It's like reprint the same tag if they lose it. We'll have to figure that one out too. So, yeah, yep. I would say if you're worried about that, especially if you're in this room as a parent, like take a picture of your tag when you get it. And I'm okay if they have the name and the code on a picture, like, and you know, like if Kelly sends Brian, but she has the tag, like, here's the tag, go take this, show it to them. Because it has the same tag, it has the date, it has the name, it has all that stuff, so you're going to be able to tell. Yeah, good.
I was gonna say, if they're getting more strict with that, I think the communication should be there too, like to the parents. Or
Yeah,
whoever they do
sure.
this, so you can make sure you take a picture or
Yeah,
stick it on
yeah,
you.
absolutely. Yep.
No,
Fine, just kidding. Good.
I think the other thing too is the kids moving around, because I know I have a kindergartner, and a lot of them have on the front, and they'll play with it because I actually pay it on.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't move on.
Yeah.
So how, I mean.
I would say put it on their back if you can. Like if they,
It's like
like,
a bunch of regular
yep,
stuff.
yeah. Just take out the on back. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we can work on that.
40+ children,
Yep.
it all happens at once.
Yeah, we can work on that. It's the other hard thing is it's one doorway. So I mean they all have to come to the one place, but at the same time that keeps it takes a long time, but it makes sure we do it right because kids aren't sneaking out and around. But yeah, we can.
Especially if you have to match the numbers.
Yeah.
We're
Match
not
them.
doing that alone.
Do the match. Alright, I'm gonna give away this prize. 'Cause I already pulled it. Of course, this is the person who asked if they could put 10 of their name in. I don't think they did, but you get a Dunkin' Donuts gift card. Just so you know what you're waiting for, right? I have another $15 Dunkin' Donuts. I have 3 $10 Amazon gift cards and a $25 Fandango gift card. And we'll give away 1 free trip to Orange one day at the end of the day. Alright? So, we're going to switch gears a little bit, talk about a little something different. I'm going to have Renee come up. And Renee is working on doing some awesome stuff for us to make sure that our scheduling, our check-in is all done really, really well. You can slide over. And so what we're working on is we've moved some of our stuff over to something called Planning Center. And that's going to be starting where we do our scheduling. And so the way that will work for you is your schedule will be in Planning Center, so you can log in, you can give all your blackout dates there. So think about the person doing the scheduling, right? They have to go back to 50 different emails and say, okay, these are the dates that don't work, and they have to try and patch that together. This will be all in one place, so they can look at your blackout dates and schedule things all in one place. And so we want to show you how that's going to work. And so Renee's going to plug in up here after I switch the input for her. And then she's going to show you exactly how that will look when you do that. Yeah.
While it's loading, I'm a little out of place here this morning. I'm the only one who doesn't volunteer with kids. But I've got a child in nursery and preschool and kids ministry, so I think maybe I'll hear about it. Thank you so much for what you're doing, for investing in their lives. Thank you so much to us here. So I really appreciate it. Also, I'm kind of nervous right now. Sorry if my voice is shaking. Yes. Okay. Okay, so you're going to get an email, hopefully this morning, if you're not already in Planning Center. I tried to catch everyone as you came in and sent you an email inviting you to log into Planning Center. So you'll see something that looks a little bit like this, and you can log in. You'll need to set up a password, and then the login screen will look like this. So if you are first time logging in, it might take you to this screen first. This is our People app. A lot of you will not have access to it, so it might not show up, but if you do, this will come up first. You'll just come up here to the corner, and you'll choose Services. And Services is where we're going to do all of our scheduling, block out dates and things like that. And once you are scheduled, I'm going to come back here for a minute to email. We're going to start doing scheduling soon, like in the next few months. I'm sorry. And when the schedule is created in Planning Center, you will get an email that looks like this, telling you when you've been scheduled for. Okay, so you can scroll down through it and see, okay, I've been scheduled for January 14th. You can see what you've been scheduled as, the host, the service you've been scheduled at, okay, 5:30 service. Here I'm the host and I'm a small group leader and a room assistant and a small group second grade. I'm doing everything that day. So you can see everything that you're scheduled for in this email, and then at the bottom you can come in and respond to those requests. Popped right up here. If you drop this down, you can see again all of the services for this schedule that you've been on. You can either accept them all, which people do, or if there are certain ones you can't make, you can choose to decline them. Now, if you do choose to decline, please still find yourself a sub. Whoever's doing the scheduling will get an email that says this person has declined this date, but we'd still love it if you would take the initiative and look for someone to cover for you. Don't assume that the scheduler will do that. So you can decline a date if you need to, and you can tell us why if you choose. And then you can accept the rest. Okay.
Will it still be kind of month to month, or is the schedule going to go out?
That will be up to whoever is doing it for your ministry. I assume still month to month, but I'm not positive. So if you come down here, then you can see these dates are in bold because those are the dates I accepted for, and the dates that I haven't accepted are not bold. If I hover over this and see the matrix, this will make more sense, I promise. It's so confusing this morning. But you'll get to know it. How many of you use services for the worship team or something else? Okay, a few people. Not too many, a few people. I love it. I think it's amazing. So if you're viewing the matrix, you can drop this down and you can see everyone who's scheduled for those 3 weeks. You can see I've confirmed, Sarah, Corey, Mandy, and Susan have not confirmed. So you can kind of see what roles are needed and what roles you're in. Okay, so that's the scheduling part of it once you've been scheduled. But you all have the welcome email now that you can go in and start to get some things set up. So let me take you back here. I'm going to come up to my own profile. And again, here I can see the dates I've been scheduled for. I can see the teams I'm on over here. And I can set my preferences. So I'm going to edit my preferences. I can serve unlimited times per month, up to 10 times per month. Put me wherever. And up to 5 times per day. If you want to use me, you can do that. Done that. All times, as often as needed. Okay, so I'm going to choose my weeks. And I can choose only the second week of each month, or that's my preferred week. So there are lots of things that you can do in here. You can also, I can't find where. Somewhere in here you can choose to serve with someone that's in your household. So I can say, I can only serve the weeks that Brad is serving, or I can say, I cannot serve the weeks that Brad is serving. So it'll only do your household, so you can't pick a friend and serve with them. But that's another option that I forget where it is in here, but it's somewhere in there. Feel free to poke around. And the other really important thing is adding your block out dates. So if you know you're going to be on vacation from January 21st to the 28th, again, you can write the reason down here, like I'm away, on vacation, I'm having surgery, and then save the block out, and then when your scheduler goes to schedule you, a little red mark will pop up next to your name that says they can't be scheduled. So that's helpful too. And the last thing I'll show you, and then I'll take questions and I'll try to answer them. This connects directly into our membership software. So if you move, if you get a new cell phone, something like that, please update your information in here, a new email address or anything, and then we'll have it. We don't have to track you down for it later. You can add your birthday, add your anniversary, you can tell us a little bit about yourself, and then update any other contact information. So I think, again, this will make a lot more sense when you're in there playing with it. You can't ruin anything from here, so feel free to take around.
So our parents really see it too well.
Okay.
I showed it. Are we expected to pick the day we want to serve, or we just pick?
No, just,
Someone's scheduling us and we just confirm it.
yes, someone's scheduling you, you just confirm it. You can, like I said, you can put in your blockout dates for days you definitely won't be here. And you can say, it's probably better to have a conversation with whoever's scheduling you, but you can say, in here, I'd rather only serve second Sundays or 2 times a month or something like that.
Yeah, Christine over there.
How is that on her?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. And if you're doing scheduling and I haven't caught up with you yet about how to do it in here, it's easy and simple, and I will meet with you and let you know how to do that. Awesome.
And how soon are the welcome letters going out? Well, I heard it radio.
I didn't get yours yet. I was catching people as they walked in as I was sitting over here, but I'm gonna keep working on that, so you should have it by the time you leave this morning.
I should probably know this from using KidMin Center for worship team, but is there any way to correlate, or I know that's not the right word, but have sync, like have your dates that you choose sync to like your Google Calendar?
Yes.
Or others? Okay.
Yes, thank you for answering that.
Sure.
Let's go back to, so when I'm here on the home page looking at the plans, you'll only see the plans for your ministry. So right now, I'm not logged in, I can't see the worship team's all in here, cafe will be in here, the greeters will be in here, but you'll only see the things that you're involved in. Down here, there are lots of options. You can view the master calendar, which I was just looking at last night. Some of your birthdays are in here, anniversaries. You can see who's blocked out on each day, not that most of you will need to know that. Great, yeah, look, we know that Heather Cronister, Scott Feather's birthday's coming up, Camden, Sandy, so check it out. Tell people happy birthday. But you can see when you've been scheduled, when you've blocked out. You can set your blockout dates right from the main page. So if you click on here, again, it takes you to that screen to set your blockout dates. And right here, calendar integrations. So you can link to iCal or Outlook, you can link to Google Calendar. We have this worship team, so every time we accept to be scheduled for the worship team, it immediately goes onto our Google Calendar, and then we can make it remind us or whatever. Any other questions? Yes.
So this will let see, if we're in kids ministry, our schedule for kids ministry on all the different goals.
Yes.
Does it let us, if we see there's a gap somewhere, it's like, you know what, I see there's a gap, I'll try to go in for it.
I don't have it set up to do that yet. You could definitely contact Christy and let her know, but I'll have to work that out with each of the individual ministries, whether they want it to be a sign-up form or not. We do have that capability. Yeah.
Please show a text message, will it send you a reminder?
Yes, you can set up here under your profile. Under communication, you can get text notifications. So if you add a mobile number here, and you have to add your mobile carrier, and then it will text you instead of emailing you. Yes.
Once you accept this electric whatever, is there a way to get a reminder? Like Saturday or Friday?
Yes, yeah. And I still need to look into that a little bit more. It's a new feature in Planning Center. If you sync it to your own calendar, you can set it up for sure, but there's a way I can set it up in here too to send reminders, so I just need to figure out how.
Yeah, I'm thinking if someone sends on Monday and then.
Yes.
On the rough week.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Just a reminder.
Yes, yep. I know I've seen some February schedules out already. It would be great if all of the March schedules could be done in here for kids ministries anyway. And again, I can meet with the schedulers to make sure that's happening, but yeah, it would be great if we could do that by March. So get in there, fill out blockout dates, play around with it so you're comfortable, and contact me anytime with any questions about it. And the reason we're doing this, partly it's just to have everything in one place, more streamlined. As we're growing, we don't know everybody, so this helps us to know who's serving. Right now, we don't really have a record of who's serving in all of the individual ministries. And also, if there were an emergency or something on a Sunday morning, we now know who is scheduled in each of the classes, in each of the places, so we can make sure everybody's accounted for, everybody's safe. So, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but it really is, it's easy to use, and I hope you all love it. Oh, if you want to upload a picture.
No, not if you want to. Sorry.
When do you?
Yes. One of the first things you will do is put a photo in.
Yeah, I don't remember how to do it from here. Oh, yeah, take the picture. There you go. Okay, so I'm not going to do it right now. I can upload a picture of myself here, and then, especially as we're growing, we know who everybody is. So that would be super helpful if you could do that. Yeah.
Is there an app for
There is an app. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, so if you search Planning Center online, this is the services app. Also, I'm not sure, I think you'll all have access to this. The People tab up here will help you find people's contact information so that you can find a replacement, find a sub.
That was the thing right there. If you need to get a sub,
Mhm.
you need to be able to know who you can call.
Yes, yeah. So if you're looking at the schedule, you can see who else has been scheduled in that role, and then up here, the People tab will give you their contact information. Okay, cool, thank you.
Thanks, Renee. So yeah, hopefully that'll come. You'll get used to it. It is an app that you can use. It's really nice, and I've been using the app for a while now because we use it with all the service stuff. So when I get in on Sunday mornings or Saturday nights and I want to know, okay, what does the schedule look like? What does the order of service look like? I can get in there and see that. So it's really nice just to have that on your phone and be able just to find it there and not have to worry about going back into my email and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm going to give another thing away before we move on. So Taylor or Hannah, can you grab me 2 names out of that bowl? Taylor told Hannah to do it. Don't pick your own. I'll still give it to you. I guess, if they'll let me. Alright, let's see. I'll do 2 Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Alright, let's see. Drop that one. Kim Hoffman.
Yeah.
And Beth Engel. It's an Amazon. I'll give you an Amazon gift card. Alright, so we're going to keep moving. We're a little bit behind, so I'm going to go kind of quick. If you don't know what orange is, it's not just, we don't use orange just because it's Corey's favorite color. It is my favorite color, but that's not the reason we use it. Orange is a curriculum, to kind of state the obvious. But it's something that we really believe in. It's something that we engage with on a regular basis. And we've tested and tried and done a lot of things with it. And every time we come back to it, every time we think about looking elsewhere, we still come back to it. And so I want you guys to know that what we do has a reason, what we do has a purpose. We're not showing up with just Bible stories for kids so we can send them home and say we told them about God. There's a reason for what we do, and there's a system for what we do. And so getting us in a room together like this and going through that again and understanding that is a big part of what we want to do. The idea behind the color is putting the church, which is the light of the world, so think yellow, and the home, and when you think of love, what color do you think of? Red. So when you put love of the home and light of the church together, you get orange. And so really the idea behind all of it is us being able to reach and work with families and be a team with parents and with families so that we can work together and reach their students the best we can for Jesus. And so part of what I want to do today is kind of go over a little bit of that. And I want to challenge you guys today. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions today. I'm going to ask you guys to kind of resolve some things in your own minds this morning as you continue to serve. And so one of the things is asking you why kids matter. You've seen this verse if you've been around church, right? It says, then the people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them, but the disciples rebuked them. You think about that for a minute. There were children that were coming to Jesus, and the disciples are basically saying, we don't have time for you. And Jesus doesn't like that. In fact, he rebukes them. He says, let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. He doesn't say the kingdom of heaven belongs to adults. It's interesting. He says it belongs to these kids. And so when we look at kids ministry, we look at student ministry, we think at Gateway Church that our kids and our students are the most important people here. And that might be like, but wait a minute. They're not the adults, right? They don't, it sounds bad, but they don't give, right? They don't serve. But we believe that they're the most important because when you think about it, they have, this is going to sound mean again, but they have the most potential, right? If we can reach all the kids that we have, we make the most impact for the most amount of time possible, theoretically. So that's why we pour into it. So our commitment at Gateway Church is that we invest in children and students. So what we want you to see when you come to church to serve, or even when you're just here and you see students that you work with or kids that you work with, you're investing in them. It's not just showing up and making sure, right, they don't get hurt. It's showing up and investing in them and pouring into them. because that's what Jesus was willing to do. And it starts with this belief, and this is kind of an Orange idea. It's what's a God idea, but Orange repeats it over and over again. Every kid is made in the image of God. And we know that every person is made in the image of God, but we treat people differently when that's our framework compared to some other things where people have frustrated us, or they're annoying, or they've bugged us, right? When we think about they were made in the image of God, and that's where they get their value. That's a big part of how we want you to walk into doing your ministry with the kids. And this is why, this is a big piece. When you learn to treat kids like they're made in the image of God, it increases the kids' potential to see God. I want us to understand, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, but when a kid comes to church, and you're their leader, and you're the one using the words God or Jesus or Bible or whatever, you're the representation of God and His love for them in that moment. And you think about even people that walk away from church, and they have this bad view of church, right? Like, my class was boring, or my teacher didn't care about me, or she was mean, or he was mean, or they didn't treat us well, or they did boring activities, whatever it was, right? It was because of that interaction that they probably had with a teacher sometime in Sunday school when they were a really little kid. I want to say you have to be the most popular person ever, right? But just be willing to understand that when they connect with God in this situation, they do that through you. And they're looking for a place where they belong. Gateway Kids should be a place where every kid has an adult that loves them and is excited to see them. We want them to know that you care about them, and we want you guys to be excited when you see them. We want you to be excited that they came to church, whether their parents drugged them or they were excited about it, right? We want you guys to be a smiling face for them when they get here, because we're glad they're here. And we trust you to show God to them as best you can while they're here. And so you're excited that they didn't shoot. I do this all the time. We have youth on Saturday night. Saturday night, teenagers could be 1,000 different places. And I do my best to say when I see kids that are here on Saturday and chose to be here rather than going to the movies or going ice skating or going wherever they're going to do, I want to be excited that they're here. Because they chose, or the parents chose, right, for them to be here. But I get to be that person, and I want to be excited for them to be here. This is one, maybe you've never thought about this, but kids gravitate to the oldest person who takes them seriously. Maybe you think, like, in this moment, maybe you think of someone. If you're involved in church today, there was probably someone when you were younger than you are today, whatever that means, that took time to invest in you as a church leader, or as someone who knew Jesus and was a leader. And that person took you seriously. That person probably bought you lunch or dinner or something sometime. Maybe they invited you out somewhere. Maybe they showed up to a place where you weren't expecting them. And you might be here because you were influenced by them. They will flock to you if you take them seriously. If you show them that God loves them, they will flock to you. They will want to be around you. And it'll be awesome to see the relationships that you can build. This is an important one, and I always say this to our student ministry staff. Kids probably won't remember what you say, but they'll remember when you showed up. I've taught probably 1,000 times since I've worked here at Gateway. And if there was a student that was at every single one of them, and I gave them a quiz on everything I ever taught, they would fail miserably. But at the same time, they'll remember when I showed up and when I didn't. And so this is a tough one even for a pastor to say, when I could put all this work into a talk, and a kid would maybe never remember a word I said when I talked, but they might remember when I showed up at a soccer game. So sometimes we think about it, and we still need to craft our words well, because they do stick. I do remember things I was taught, right? So do we. But I remember when they showed up. And they'll remember when you show up. And showing up does two things. First of all, showing up is not only functional, it's influential. What do I mean by that? When it's functional because, put yourself on the other side. Maybe you go visit a church, right, somewhere. If you came and showed up, you were going to drop your kid off in a classroom, and there was no one there 5 minutes before it was supposed to start, you would not feel ready to leave your kid at that church. So what we're asking from you guys is to show up, and not only just show up on time, but show up early, so that when people are there, we're ready to receive them. When those kids are there, there's a smiling face who's ready to receive them. There's someone that's there ready to say, hey, let's experience Jesus today, whether it's Saturday night, Sunday morning. But it's also influential because those kids will remember that you were there. My son knows that Camden is in his class? He knows that. Because Camden was there. I don't know if he'll remember that when he's 5, right? He'll probably forget. But he knows that. And that matters. And so consistency matters. Just by showing up, you make a difference. You make them feel safe, and you give them a place to belong. We always say you belong here, right? We say the same for kids. This is a big one, and this was something I heard the other day, and I wanted to share it with you guys. The current generation of kids is the first generation that does not need an adult to find information. If they're 15, 16, and under, they don't need a teacher to tell them anymore. They have the internet. They have it in their pocket. But they do need adults because they need us to help them interpret what they hear and what they get and what they receive. And so we're not always here just to give them the information, right? A kid will walk in and they might ask a question about something that happened in the world. They could ask a question. They could walk in and say, "Why did this shooting happen?" You're like, "I didn't sign up for that question," right? That's a big one. They need us to help interpret it because they're not just going to learn about it because we tell them anymore. They're going to find it on their own, and they need us to help them figure it out. So this is a word that I'd like us to remember as we deal with kids all the time. It's the word empathy, and sympathy and empathy are two very different things. You can sympathize with someone that you have, and not have anything to do with them, right? You could see a post on Facebook of a friends, and their parent died maybe, and you feel something for them, you sympathize. You might even send them a note and say, "Hey, I'm praying for you." But you're not going to walk with them through that situation. Empathy engages with them and says, "I'm here to walk with you through what you're going through." And even though we only get an hour a week with these kids, or an hour and a half, or whatever it is, we're saying we want to walk with you each week through what's going on. And so sometimes that means maybe we show up more than we usually plan on, right? Maybe we're just around and we're here, or maybe we say, "Well, I'm going to serve a few more times this month because I'm there every time slot that kid's there because I want to walk through this with them." So empathy is something where we engage with them. We don't just see them and sympathize. And why do we do that? Well, Hebrews tells us why. Hebrews 4:15 says, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin." So he's able to sympathize, but not only did he sympathize, he empathized. He worked with us through that, and that was something that was his goal. So that when we look at Jesus, we don't just see a God who's way out here somewhere. He came and understood exactly what we were going through. And that's what we want to do with kids. We want to say we're here when things go bad, when things are tough, when things aren't as they should be. We know what homes are like. We know what family issues are. Well, how do we engage with them and help them walk through that? Empathy decides to do things we don't like in order to reach people who are not like us. Your whole role, right, in student ministry, in kids ministry, preschool ministry, nursery ministry, you're working with people who aren't like you. They're human, but they wear diapers, right? They throw tantrums, they can't drive, they can't feed themselves. They're totally different than us. But we work with them because we want to engage with them and share with them who Jesus is. We have to be willing to do that. We can't think about what we want or what we think should happen. We have to engage at the level of the child and do what's best for them as well. Here's a verses. I'm only going to talk for a couple more minutes because we're a little over. But the idea of being Sunday-minded versus Monday-minded. It's tough in church to think about more than Sunday. If you work in a church, if you've ever done that, it feels like Sunday is every 3 days. Like you get done one Sunday, you gear up for what you have to get done during the weekend, and all of a sudden it's Sunday again. Or here, it's almost Saturday again, right? And we think so much about Saturday. We want Saturday or Sunday to look good. We want it to flow right. We want it to do what we're supposed to do. We want this to happen. We want that to happen. We stop thinking about how this impacts the lives of our people on Monday. And that's where we want to engage. We want Sunday to go well. Yes, we want things to be great on Saturday and Sunday. But we also need to have the goal of impacting Monday. So the question I want to ask you is and not to answer out loud, but just to think about is when you come to serve, are you Saturday or Sunday minded, or are you Monday minded? Are you reaching kids in a way that says, I'm working towards an application in your life on Monday? Sunday Mindset focuses on
they're at. This is a huge tip. Praising often. Catching a kid being good. I hear a lot of times when I go as a consultant, I go into classrooms and I hear, Johnny, put your feet down. Johnny, stop doing that. Johnny, but then it's all correction. And I would always try to get them to reframe the thought and try to catch them doing what they want them to be doing. So if Johnny's doing this, Johnny, I like how you're sitting down. Why don't you do this? And like telling them what to do, but keeping it very positive and trying to really focus on what they're doing. That's great. I love that you're sitting here with us. I love that you're participating. I like that your eyes are on me. Anything you can catch them doing that's right, you focus on that. And the ratio should be 4 praise statements to every 1 corrective statement. So it's really hard. It's harder than you think. So I would take like a clicker and try to like gauge people on how they would do. And even people that are very positive, we're usually like 2 to 1. It's really hard to do. So that's a high ratio, but that shows, research shows that that's the best ratio to do with all kids, but definitely kids with special needs. Offering choices when possible. So if you want a kid to be doing something that you want them to be doing, instead of you sit down right there, you can say you can sit there or there. So then it takes their mind off of whether they're going to not listen to you and not do what you said to I'm going to now just have to pick. Kind of distracts, and it's a nice little strategy to like. They're still doing what you want, but it's kind of giving them some control over the situation. Help them and encourage independence. You want the kids to be independent because that will raise their self-esteem and help them feel more in control as well. But help them when they need it. Have fun. This is a huge one. I think kids know when you're not like genuine and not like really invested, which is kind of what Corey's talking about. So when you come in and you're having fun and you're genuinely enjoying yourself, I think kids really buy into the whole program, and I think that they really see that. Especially kids with like autism and ADHD and things like that. You need to be animated. You need to drink your coffee before you come. You need to be able to like get down and play and instead of being very stoic. When you work with kids, it's so important to really try to be as fun as possible. In my classroom, we take 2 weeks. Whenever we get a new kid, I just got a new kid this week, we take 2 weeks and we do what's called pairing. So we make ourselves like the most fun thing ever, and we take data on it and everything, but we bring out all the toys, and we put no demands on the kids, and we just wait. We try to get them to come to us by like making ourselves really, really fun. And when they do that for 85% of the time, 3 consecutive times over different areas, then we pair with them, then we start adding demands. And that's how we work. So that shows how important, this is like a research-based program we use, that shows how important it is to pair yourself with fun. Make yourself the fun person. The kid gets everything good from you, so they want to come to you. That's, one of the biggest strategies. I think that's like number 1. Be genuine and respectful. Don't talk about kids. Even if they're nonverbal, don't talk about kids in front of them as far as problem behavior. Kids understand, they immediately don't feel respected, and you'll see more problem behaviors. So I think that's huge. And then, and be genuine and respectful. A lot of people think they need to use baby talk with kids who, have developmental disabilities and things like that. You don't need to do that. You can talk to them, be positive, be happy, but you don't have to like baby talk or things like that. It shows respect when you talk to them any questions? I'll look up. Any questions for any of that stuff? Yeah, or any comments? Strategies for preventing problem behavior. Being calm and attentive, trying to understand what's happening. If, a lot of times you'll be correcting a kid, but you didn't see that 1 second before Susie pinched him, and so you don't know what really happened. So try to be as attentive as possible to what happened prior to an incident. Pay attention to what the child is trying to communicate. Don't assume. So Sally's trying to run out the door. You don't see that her mom is in the corner or something. So you say, don't run away. You're staying here with the group. Why are you always running away? Instead of assuming that they're doing something naughty, trying to get to the bottom of why they're doing it. So I had a kid and he would go, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, all day. I'm like, You know, we were like shocked at this kid, and we like, you know, like some of the staff were like, recommended, don't say that, don't say that. And then we're going through the alphabet song, and we get to the letter V, and he's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, vacuum. Okay. So like, that's one example. Not assuming you don't always know like what the purpose of that is. Zero rewards is huge. We use first then strategies, and so when I volunteer here, I usually have something really fun at the end because you want some incentive, some buy-in from the kids to do a great job, so you have time for the fun thing at the end. And I try to make it as natural as possible. So I want to be able to have time for this. We all need to listen. We need to get, we need to do this and this and this. And we'll have time for this. So it's not bribery, but it's also like it's an incentive. So I usually try to do something like that. Corey and I were talking about having like a fun bin or something like with fidget toys and with things that are fun, or like, even if it's something like that where like, we'll all get a turn with the bouncy, whatever, the yo-yo or whatever at the end. Some kind of buy-in is huge. So if you can bring something, if you have like fidgets at home or anything you can bring in, we're gonna try to get a stash together so that we all have like a resource available. So, might be helpful. Redirect is needed. Try to focus on what the kids should be doing rather than what they shouldn't. So instead of saying like, stop banging your Bible, say like, hey, let's fold our hands, or why don't we do this instead? So if you tell them something that competes with the behavior, so they can't be doing this if their hands are folded. Some other strategies, some kids with more significant issues might need things like a fidget toy to hold on to during group instruction or when they're sitting and listening, because it's really hard for kids to focus and attend if they have, a diagnosis of ADHD or another, or even an undiagnosed kind of brain impairment. I'm sorry. So offering fidget toys, something for them to hold on to. You can hold this while you're sitting. Offering breaks if needed. So like a walk or jumping like 10 times or doing something like what Susan showed us at the beginning of this to give a little motor break. Using visuals, and I have a few examples on the next slide. Like schedules, if you need to write down, like we're going to do, a quick little activity, then we're going to do the group activity, then we're going to do a game. Like if it's written out, some kids really respond well to that because they can see the order and when things are going to be done. Pictures sometimes helps too. Providing social stories if needed. This is a little bit more complex, more like a BSC kind of thing. So if you need help and someone needs help like walking through what something is going to look like, you guys can always come to me and I'll give you my email address. But if you have any questions like with specific behavior things, or if you think you might need some storage or something more advanced, you can come to me and I'll help you with that. Offering alternative seating. Some kids can't sit on the floor. They end up fidgeting too much. Sometimes a chair is a nice place that they can like feel more stable. Offering that. Some kids sit on a ball or like have to be in a specific carpet square. So just thinking in those terms as well. Here are some examples of visuals. This is like a class picture schedule. You can see like first we sit, then we say the prayer, different things like that. And then at the end we say goodbye. This is an example of like expectations. So if you have someone that's having trouble with the expectations, they're always there touching their peers and stuff, before you start the whole lesson, you show them the visual and you say, this is what we're going to do, this is the expectations, so that they're ready. This is an example of a token board. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but that's some kind of way to earn incentive. So as the time goes, we have this done, we did great, you did great, and then at the end you get your reward. And this is an example of a visual for first then. So first we sit, and then we get something fun, if they need visuals. And that's just the resources. So I kind of rushed through, I know there's a lot of information, so if you have any specific questions, anyone have any questions now, or? Yes?
I just wanted to say, I have a few students that are in large groups when they have a hard time, and sometimes I have to get things done with me, but I do that, you have to do that in a really positive way. Like, hey, why don't you do that with me? And that keeps them, everyone around them. I don't want them to feel like they're in trouble,
Right.
more like,
Maybe positive.
over here, you know. So I think that helps. But I do think we have visits for some of those students, one market that would be really important. There, I think there's some kids though, not looking necessarily to be really fun, just looking to keep their, just something a little thicker or something.
Like a squishy or something like that.
Yeah, just because some of them really have a lot of stuff built up in it, that long, so. You get further and further.
Yeah.
And that's something I always wanted to ask Susan. Yeah, that if, we know that students really aren't paying attention, like, they're laying down or looking at the ceiling, and did she want us to try to gently go over and like, 40 or, yeah, slow down. When she's talking, so.
Yeah. Really picking your battles. That's something I was going to touch on too. Like picking your battles too. Like you don't have to correct everything that is a little off.
Right.
You know, especially kids that are having struggles just to even be there. Like you pick your battles. You don't need to address every single thing, especially if they have bigger issues that you're, you know,
Right. I didn't hear the whole brochure or the lead up, but I think for the majority of time, we will get to know which kids are capable of complying with what we want them to do. We have kids, like there are a group of my favorite boys that as soon as one of them lays down in large group, laid out on the floor, boom, 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 they all go and I'm like, boys, sit up please. Because they're capable, and you all know what I'm talking about. They're capable and because of the effect that they have on the kids around them. That the boy that starts to lay down is a kid who can't handle that change of position, and it's distracting. So I think all of this is meant to be, to give you, kind of open your eyes to what the possibilities are, that there are times that you should say, hey, you know, so-and-so, can you be a good example to the kindergartners right now and show them how to sit, okay? Because when the fourth grader is lying on their belly, it really takes the whole thing, all right? But they don't need to know all that. However, there are other kids that we know from watching their behavior and stuff, they're not capable. And so we may need to do something else, such as having a fidget for them and just having grace with those kids and telling others, like, I know you might see so-and-so laying down. That's what his body needs right now, but your body needs you to sit up. This body needs you to sit up. Yeah, and something else that was also brought up was we're not a school setting. We are not mandated to have goals set and specialized instruction and accommodations provided, but this is a way that is twofold. Our care and concern for trying to meet a child where they're at, again, touches on what Corey was saying, helps that child experience God's love and care. Because it's possible that we are the only adult during the week that will praise them more than tell them to get their act together, okay? It's a way for us to be compassionate. But their parent is probably exhausted. And we need to be willing for that hour or however long we have them to just dig deep, do everything that we can in that time to give that parent a mental break, a chance to breathe, and to also connect and learn. Okay, so it's not just child focused, but also adult focused. Having been a parent that has been exhausted beyond measure, it was the only break I ever got. Not just, you guys can take them. But when I would be like, I'm at my wit's end, but when you are with them, I need you to be on for every moment that they're awake. When you can come and say, like, the main thing should be like, here he is. You can come get me if you need to. You know, like, please don't come get me. But that was a break that really did wonders for me as a parent. So it's both benefits, all right? We do not have the ability to necessarily have it like, okay, so-and-so's gonna be coming, and this is our plan, we're gonna have a visual schedule, but at a moment's notice, you should be prepared prepared enough to know exactly where you're going in our lesson. And if you don't know what's going on, gosh, the kids aren't going to feel very good. And we as adults like to know where we're going, right? Okay, isn't it fun when you come somewhere and you're like, oh, this is what's going to happen at home. A lot of our kids, they get really unsettled, and a lot of behavior can be taken down if they know, oh, that's what's going on. Take out a piece of paper. Who cares if you're not a good artist? Maybe like for right now, you do a little square. We're sitting on our carpet. Next you do a bigger square. That's the large group. We're going to be going over there for the big story. Then we're coming back to the small group. We're going to do 2 activities, 1, 2, and as you go, the kid that is all out of control, hey, can you cross it off? And that kid will probably grab a pen, scribbles a line on it because he needs that input, okay? And that's okay because you're keeping him tracked with you. So it doesn't have to be those visuals that you saw were from a program called Board Maker. It's awesome for whenever you have a child who's coming, you know, week after week after week. And if you start having that same kid coming week after week, that's what we're here for, to help create something that can stay in your cards or stay with you, that every week you can take it out. Remember, this is what we're doing. But in a moment's notice, you pull out a piece of scrap paper and you really quickly make that schedule. And honestly, those things are beneficial to your whole group, even if it was planned for only one. Okay, so does that make sense with how all this fits in? So again, we don't expect you to be behavior specialists, but we do expect you to tell the kid what you want them to do, not what, stop doing that. Try to have those negative things, like a list in classrooms. I can always tell if a teacher is a good teacher. Because if her list of rules has don't do this, no talking, no this, no that, I have no respect for him. Because you are focusing on what they should not be doing instead of setting them up for success with what the expectations are. All right, so you have to change. And a lot of us grew up in situations where we heard no running, no touching somebody else, but the thinking changes to being more, oh, that's what I'm expected to do, instead of the list of don'ts. Okay, so try to have that positive frame with the kids. And if you have somebody who you're like, oh, I think this situation could be this, because we don't have parents that disclose a lot to us. I mean, usually I can tell within 5 minutes when a kid walks in and I'm like, there we go. I can probably guess what their IEP looks like in school, just based on what I'm seeing, but at times it's over the kid's head. I mean, one kid that I worked with in school a couple of years ago, he was classically a boy with autism. His mom was floored when we brought her in. She said, what do you mean? Because her 2 older kids were nonverbal autistic. So for her, this is the most normal kid she's ever dealt with. All right, so they're not necessarily going to come in and be like, by the way, this is the situation. Partly because they don't want their kid being labeled all the time. They want to have a place where they're not known as, oh, that's so-and-so, you know, the troublemaker. So we don't always get all the information we need, but with diagnosis or not, we're capable of putting some things in place that help that child have a good time and the kids around them and their parents do. Okay? Yes.
My son's an 80, and so, but I did not increase. And it's always somewhat concerned me when I know, especially if I have one child that I kind of know and all these other mainly boys. But what I have been doing is with boys, I'll be like, you have to pee. And they're like, yeah, we got 1 minute. I'm coming in. You'd really come in? Yes, I would. I'm sure you're okay. Because, yeah, I just don't want to be messing around because they're in there.
Right.
And the girls, I'll usually give them longer because they have more clothes. Yeah. But I know I had one girl that was pretty sure it was special needs, and she was taking a while, and I was kind of, are you okay? Do you need any help? No, I'm fine, I'm okay. So, you know, that was kind of a gray area for me.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of gray. Unfortunately. Yeah, and we can talk about the bathrooms here more, because that also gets into levels of just safety and the buddy system. It's not a good idea. We used to think, oh, it's great, send them in 2 at a time.
Yeah.
No. That opens up for early sexual abuse. Okay? So the idea would be 1 at a time, you tag your friend when you come right back out. Okay? And go.
So I didn't know that, so
Yeah. Yeah. So, unfortunately. And don't ever go into a bathroom with children by yourself as an adult. Okay?
I don't recognize it.
Yeah. You just leave it open. So, hey, you know, hands, another thing, always have another adult watching you if you're helping someone but all right, we good? Awesome. Thanks, Cassie. We are running a teeny bit behind. Sorry, Heather, can you give us a 2-minute? Are you okay with doing that now? Maybe 2 minutes. All right, yes. And then we're going to be breaking up into our like age level and campus groups.
So I just want to intro Heather. She had a really cool experience a few weeks ago where she actually got to lead some kids to Jesus. And so, yeah, very cool. So that's something that we definitely want you guys to engage with when you have the opportunity. But I also understand that that can be terrifying, right? Because now all of a sudden, like, they're asking questions and how do I do this right and what does that look like? And so I want Heather to share just exactly what happened and what you did. And then I'm going to go back at the end and wrap us up a little bit before we do some group stuff. So.
Thank you. I actually, I had 2 experiences. The first one, there was 3 little ones in my group who accepted Christ. And the second time I had 1 who accepted and 2 others who reconfirmed their faith in Christ. So I think what I want to do is I want to share how it happened, and then I have just a few notes that I made for myself during this morning, but I wanted to make sure I printed it out. The first one was kind of neat because it was set up by the program through Orange that we would do a process where we did the Bible verse, and the Bible verse included, things like, do not be afraid, blah, 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 because I am the Lord their God. And then it had me remove the Lord your God. And said, okay, so what's in the scene? And had the kids figure it out. And I really felt a tugging from the Lord to say, like, if Jesus is missing from your life, then you're not saved. And having Jesus in your life is the most important thing. And so I was able to say that to them in a way that when I'm talking to kindergartners, so you're talking at a level, a very simplistic level. Obviously, depending on what age group you talk to, you want to talk at their level. But I had 3 children who raised their hand and said they wanted to accept Christ. And I was just blown away. We were at the end of our time together, so we went ahead and I had everyone bow their heads, and I basically said to them, I said, I'm going to pray, and if you're one of the ones that raise your hand to accept Christ, I want you to pray with me, right after me. And so I led them through the prayer to accept Christ. And then a few weeks later, we had several times, I'm sure you guys have noticed several times, our storyteller will end with a very clear presentation of the gospel and a call to, if you want to accept Christ, to come see them or talk to some group leader. And this particular week, normally when that happens, I normally have a conversation with the students when I go back to my small group. I don't wait because I want to keep it quite fresh in their minds, so I talk to them right away and I say, if that's something you want to do, I want you to let me know. And the first time I did that, a little girl raised her hand quick like this, and I said, okay, are you telling me that that's what you want to do? And she said, yeah. And then 2 of the boys raised their hands. And I was really grateful that day. I had a team helper. So team helpers, thank you so much. You guys are wonderful. And they were able to take the rest of the kids and play a game with them. But I took those 3 aside and talked privately with them. The 2 boys had said that they had accepted Christ before, but they wanted to say the prayer again. And the little girl had never accepted Christ. So we, again, I walked them through the prayer. I talked to them about like what that means and everything. I had a little more time because this was the beginning of our small group time. So we could talk a little more about what that meant and I was able to really make sure that they understood what we were doing, which was really wonderful. Then normally when I do that, I mean, what we're expected to do and what I've done is then I normally tell the person at the door when his parent comes, I need to talk to that parent and let them know. And then I can have a conversation with the parent, let them know that their child decided to follow Christ and then give that parent that ability at home. So my thoughts, I was sitting here and I was thinking, I think Corey had mentioned it, we're not here for babysitting, we're here to point children to Christ. And I take that very seriously. I think that coming in here with a prayerful heart and really looking for opportunities to not only point them to Christ, but to lead them to Christ when they get to that point where they're ready. And there's always a question in my heart, when is a kindergartner ready? But this is the way I look at it. If I don't know these kids' home lives. I don't know if their parents are saved. I don't know if their parents even go to church. If I feel God leading me to say something to a student to open up the door for accepting Christ, and I don't do it, that child might not get that opportunity again for a very, very long time. And then what's her life going to look like? Versus if I take God's leading and I go ahead and do that, and they accept Christ, even if they don't fully understand, God's working, and He's starting to plant those seeds. So I don't take that lightly. I think that's a very serious thing. It's really important. I think that one of the things that was said already here was we are invested in children, and are we going to be volunteers or leaders? And when it talks about volunteer leaders, immediately I thought, leaders, what do leaders do? They lead these children to Christ. That is what we're here for. We're not here to babysit. We're not here just to get our volunteer time in and say, I'm a good person because I volunteer. We're here to lead these kids. So that's really important. And the Bible talks in a couple different places about, we should have the faith of a child. So when that child, the childlike faith is like, so think about it. They believe whatever you tell them. If you tell them about Santa Claus, they believe he is real, If you tell them Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, they believe you. That's the kind of faith we're supposed to have. So if we can get somebody to have that beautiful faith, that non-doubting faith, like how much easier is it? I know I wasn't saved until I was almost 19 years old. And there's, I don't remember what the study said, but there was a study out that said, the older you get, the less likely you are to come to faith in Christ. So catching them while they're still young, while they still have that true belief in something that they can't see, is better. I think that's all of my notes. Do you guys have any questions? Does anyone have anything they want to ask? Thank you.
Thank you.
She did so good. I don't want to add anything. I just want to highlight some of the things that she said. One of the things that was really awesome was she made sure the kids knew what they were doing. She said, "Is that something you want to do?" And they said, "Yes, that's something I want to do." I think that's important. She also said she connects with parents afterwards, which I think is huge. And we don't ever want to steal away the opportunity from the parent to pray with their kids. But at the same time, we don't want to walk away. And she said that we don't want to, if they say they want to do it then and there, we also don't want to walk away from that. So it's always key, if you have that opportunity, to connect the parent with them, with the child, and know what happened, and then even pray with them all together. That's exactly what happened for me. Sometimes we fear when they're little and they say they want to do this. And I get that fear, but I can remember I was 6. I was in a Sunday school class. I remember who my teacher was. I remember where they took me. And I remember them connecting with my parent after. And so, some people, like, did I really understand what I was doing necessarily when I was 6? Like I do today? No. But can I remember that vividly? And that's the time when I decided, yes. And so, kindergartners, first graders, they can do it. So what do we do? And so it's just really important, even as you're praying with them, that I tell this to teenagers all the time. It's not a magic prayer, right? It's not the prayer that saves you. But however, if someone offers you a free gift, you're taking it, right? So this is the conversation with that person, with Jesus saying, I'm accepting the free gift that you're offering. So it's very important just to make sure they understand they sinned. That's what you ask them, what separates you from God, or what's making your relationship with God not right? And they understand they do wrong things, right? And that Jesus died to pay for that instead of them, okay? And then he rose again. That's an important piece too, because if Jesus didn't rise again, then it's all for naught, right? And then they're saying to Jesus, yes, I want to accept that free gift of salvation that you paid for with your blood instead of mine. And so in different words than that probably for a kid, but that's what you're walking through. So they're starting to understand Jesus died instead of them, Jesus rose again, and they can accept that. And so just walk through them with that. And don't be, if you are in that moment and you say a prayer say a prayer before you do it, just engage with what you're doing, God will take care of it. It's okay. So, but don't be afraid to do it. So thank you, Heather, for sharing that and helping walk us through it. Here's what we're going to do. We're behind, so I'm going to motor through just a couple things really fast. I have all my prizes, leave that away in the end. Just a couple things to look forward to this year. First of all, I'm sorry that today, like this meeting happened today, and then like the budget meeting is later tonight. Just know I had my meeting scheduled first. Okay? So, assuming all is approved tonight, it is our goal in 2017 to hire a part-time kids person. So that will, once we get through tonight, we're gonna put together a job description, send that out. We're gonna send it out to people that are in the church. We'll post it outside the church as well. So we just want to find the best person. And so that's something that we're going to look at, so that person will be over 4th grade and down is the idea at a part-time rate. So we're looking forward to that. Another thing that we're looking forward to in 2017 is really doing a good job of connecting with parents and helping us connect with them and helping them win in their homes. That's our specific focus, and that's something that we've decided as a team. There's 5 different ways that you can do that we are going to do that. Number 1, we're going to do a discovery class. So if you haven't gotten it yet and you're a parent, you're going to get an email that comes out and that has a short survey just saying, ask you a couple questions about how you parent and how you feel about parenting spiritually. If that makes sense. So we're going to try and do that in March, April timeframe. So that's going to go out, and then we'll have a discovery class. We're going to do a family movie day. The plan is actually to like rent out a theater at Regal and just have a free movie day, so that people can invite their friends to come to the movies. It gives an opportunity for like crazy people like Susan with 4 kids to actually take their kids to the movies because it's too expensive. And so just doing that kind of thing, that just gives parents and kids the chance to connect together. We're going to try and do a parent conference that comes in July. We got a special, summer's not the best time, but it was a lot cheaper. So we're going to try and have them come in the summer in July to do a conference here that will be relatively low cost, like $25, I think, a person, or a couple or something like that. It's not that expensive. We're going to do something called the Compassion Give Back Day. And this is an event if you remember last year, we had the Compassion experience that was here. We have not a whole village, but a large portion of a village, a project in El Salvador that we helped to sponsor. They have an event that you can come, and parents and kids, and the kids see what poverty looks like. They get to engage together and walk through that. So especially for parents of kids who have a compassion child, they can engage with that. So that's going to happen probably sometime in the fall. And also in the fall, I think it's around October, we're going to have a whole sermon series that's about parenting and helping the next generation and what we do with kids and investing in students and children and all that kind of stuff. So all throughout the year, we have these things that we're going to try and do our best to champion them, push them forward to help parents connect with that, help them win in their own home. Last thing from you before I give away stuff. If you don't know about this app, we just found out about recently. It's called Parent Cube. If you know what the phraseology, Parent Cube, this is something that we try to hand out to parents. Like when they come, we'll say to you, can you give them the Parent Cube? It's something for them during the week. There's actually a free app that will do it all for you. So if you are a parent of an elementary student or a preschool student, you can download this app again for free. That's what the logo looks like. It's like a gray square with like a scribbled orange square in it. If you get that, it will give you content, it will give you a challenge every day to do with your kids. So I think yesterday it was a whole day thing. It was like have your kid take their favorite stuffed animal and just carry it around all day for preschool, because I have a 2-year-old. So they carried it around all day, and then there were different prompts to talk with them about that. It gives you a song to play in the car, it gives you a video, it's awesome content, and it's all free. So we may start to try and push this as we're gonna forget printing stuff, right? Just have parents download this app and say, hey, it's right there every time you open it every day. So that's something that we are going to start looking at, but it's something you guys can look at, and if you like it, just start sharing it with other parents that are around, and they'll know about it as well.